right. All right. Looks like everything's working. Microphone, camera, all that. So I think we're good. We can get started here. Let's get the disclaimers out of the way. We'll jump into it here. This is a weekly live broadcast. Again, pretty much every Thursday evening, 7 o'clock Central Time. This is where I am, and you can come in here and you can ask questions, start up discussions about whatever, pretty much anything. I'm open for just about anything you want to talk about. We can talk even controversial stuff like politics and religion, because I don't get upset if somebody has a different opinion from me. It's okay. We can still be friends. We can have good debates. The only things I ask is be friendly, be polite. Don't be hateful with anybody. Don't be cussing at anybody. Keep it family friendly, those kinds of things. We don't want to have to kick you out. But other than that, pretty much like I said, everything is fair game. I just do my best to respond to all the chat that comes in during the live broadcast. And let's get into it. So we've got Steve Java here says, is anybody out there? Is that like Pink Floyd nod there? Just nod if you can hear me. Is there anybody home? Never mind. Guidro's Family Farms here. Oh, and there's Verna. Hey, Verna, good to see you. Guidro's Family Farms here says, good evening from South Louisiana. I bet it is warmer there than it is here. Although it wasn't bad today. It was like 50 degrees today. Well, yeah, we got 6 thumbs up. We got 20 watching, Verna. So Verna says there's 6 watching. Probably at the time you posted that there was, but now it's jumped up to 20 people on. And it's only Aaron here from Guidro's Family Farm, but that's okay. 60 degrees. It is warmer there than it was here, but again, it wasn't a bad day today. It was like 50 degrees today. It was pretty nice. It's been below freezing for like the last week and a half, and we got more freezing weather coming, but it's a nice break today, 50 degrees. We got Joy Guthrie from Western Oregon. Good to see you. Jacob Lefebvre, I think it is. That's probably not right. But anyway, says hello to everybody. Hello to you too. All Clean Exteriors, hello to you. All right. Jimbo Slice says good evening. Good evening to you. And let's see, Poodle Daddles, there we go, says, I just subbed this week. Well, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoy the videos. I'm working on trying to come up with more content so I can get more videos out. It's just tough. I've been doing this for a while, and I've covered just about everything I can think to cover, and it's always hard to come up with new content. So, I'm not good at responding to comments anymore. I used to do every comment, but, I've got so many coming through now that it's hard for me to keep up with, so I just don't respond to any of them hardly. But I do read them, I do see them, they come through my email. So if you have video ideas, always post them. I'll put a comment down somewhere, and I'll review, and if I can get to it, I'll probably will. Jacob says we're supposed to get up to 40 degrees tomorrow in Wisconsin, and then drop to 0 on Monday. Yeah, we're kind of in the same boat here. We've got not quite that cold. I mean, we're not going to get down to 0, but it's been like in the 20s every day. It's been pretty cold, in the 20s pretty much every day for the last week and a half or so. Got up to 50 degrees today, and then back down to like 25 for the weekend. Verna says, Chris, you can always do things you have done before. Yeah, I can. It's just hard to pick out which ones to do, but yeah, I know I can. Joy says, I got a New Zealand doe today. She's a beauty. Now to find a buck. Yeah, good luck with that, and congratulations on the new rabbit. Hopefully you can find a good buck to go with her, soon. Let's see. Hyde Homestead says hi. Hello to you. Good to see you. And we got a lot of people talking to each other, which is all good. Oh, there's Dawn from South Central Illinois. Good to see you. Poodle Daddle says you have a great quail playlist. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad you find it helpful. I don't really do much, I don't put my videos in the playlists anymore. I mean, I don't know why. I should do that probably. I just don't. I just kind of post them and let it go. All right. Let's see. We're already out of comments. It's not a good sign. 4 minutes in and we're out of comments or out of chat already to respond to. Buster, good to see you. Thanks for joining. Verna says, yes, Chris, so that people can find things that they want easily. Putting things in playlists is what you're talking about. Yeah, I used to kind of do that, but I don't know. It got to a point where there was just so many videos in there. I don't know if it made sense to do it anymore or not. They're still on there. I mean, I still have playlists on there, basically. But anyway, maybe I will. Maybe I'll get back into doing that. Who knows? And we got Susan from New Orleans says, first live stream hatched first quail 2 weeks ago. Well, awesome. Thank you for joining us tonight. I appreciate that. And congratulations on your hatch. Hopefully it was a good one. And I'm sure it's the first of many to come. They get easier as you go. And let's see. How are we doing here? Poodle Daddles says, I've been saying that wrong, haven't I? Poodle Daddles. There we go. Says, where's a good place to order quail eggs to hatch? There's a lot of places. My Shire Farm's a great one. Aaron Guidros is on here, Guidros Family Farm. You can get eggs from them. There's a whole bunch. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of places that you could order from. Those are two right off the top of my head. I'm sure Verna can come up with a whole list of people. She always does fill in the gaps whenever I can't remember everybody, but those are two of them I can think of right off the top of my hand. Either one of those you're not going to go wrong at all with. There, Verna is posting a link to My Shire Quail Farm. And then, yeah, you're right, Verna. There, the person with no name says, hi, all. Well, hello to you. No name? I don't know who you are. That's Susan, isn't it? That's Susan from New Orleans. It doesn't show the name, but I saw the comment earlier where you introduced yourself. Desert Homestead said, I've been looking for hatching eggs, and it seems WTF and S.W. Game Birds are not selling right now. Whiskey Tango Farms is the WTF, and Southwest Game Birds are not selling right now. Yeah, I'm not super familiar with. I know Whiskey Tango Farms. I know them; they're friends of mine. But I'm not real familiar with what they're doing with their quail right now. I haven't talked to them in a while, and I'm not real familiar with Southwest Game Birds. I know of them, but I haven't really looked into them a whole lot, so I don't know. Verna's posting some links. There's a link to My Shire Farm she's posted. There's Short Pickens Quail and Guidros Family Farm. Links to all three of those posted, so those should be places you could get them. Poodle, I'm just going to call you Poodle because it's too long of a word, but anyway, Poodle says, is bird flu a concern raising quail? I mean, it depends really on how big of an issue it is in your area. I've never had an issue with it. I don't worry about it myself. It's pretty easy to start over with quail if you do get something like that and you need to, it wipes out your whole flock or something like that. It's pretty easy to start over if you have to, but I just don't worry about it myself, and I've never had an issue with it. If you don't have a whole bunch of wild birds going around your quail, then you're probably going to be fine anyway. And also, I don't know if we've even had a case of bird flu in Missouri yet. Let me see. Let's see. Okay, it has been detected in Missouri in August 2024. There was a patient hospitalized. So I guess it's here, but I don't know that it's really a huge issue. I'm not too worried about it myself. Don says Southwest Game Birds went out of selling eggs a couple of years ago. Oh, really? I didn't know they quit selling eggs. Sorry, I've got a terrible itchy spot right there in the corner of my eye. While we're talking about that, talking about the flu in your eye and all that kind of stuff, that is actually, if you don't know this or not, that's where most viruses, cold bugs, all that kind of stuff enter through your eyes, like rubbing your eyes or something like that, and it's on your hands and it gets in through your eyes. That's kind of an interesting fact if you didn't know. That's one of the reasons why you should wash your hands frequently. Andy says, hello, everybody from Southwest Michigan. It'll get cold here next week, single digits for highs Monday and Tuesday. Yeah, it's going to get cold here too, but not that cold. That's one more reason I don't live that far north. But we do get single digits from time to time, but usually not for days on end. Usually it's pretty minimal. We get, like I said, we're going to be in the 20s probably, mid 20s again. Like next week, we had 50 degrees today. It was pretty nice. I think tomorrow is supposed to be pretty nice, and then it drops out, and we get cold again for, I don't know, another couple of days, maybe a week. It depends. We may have more snow coming next week. Next Thursday, there's a chance of precipitation. depending on how cold it is, how much we get. I don't know if it's going to be snow, rain, or what yet. Hopefully not ice. I can deal with snow. I can deal with rain. I don't like the ice. Don says Southwest Gamebird gave all his birds to TOF to take over a couple of years ago. I don't know who TOF is. I probably will when you tell me, but I don't know who that is right offhand. Verna says Monday will be 12 for a high. Tuesday, high of 11 in Southwest Ohio. Yeah, that's pretty chilly. Steve says a varmint chewed through 16-gauge welded wire quail cage, made a small hole. No fatalities, just scared the quail. Interesting. I wonder what that could have been. I mean, I guess a rat could chew through that, but I don't know that they would. That doesn't, I mean, who knows? It'd be just a wild guess, I suppose. Don says, still got ice here. That's no fun at all. We had, we got last week, I guess it was. Last week. My work canceled work for the day because of the snow. It's kind of odd, and I'm not used to working in a place that does. Lots of places do, but, I'm not used to working in a place that does. But anyway, they canceled work for the day on Friday because we had about 5 inches of snow. It was a pretty decent amount of snow. But it's pretty much all gone now, except for in like the super shady spots. There's still some left, but other than that, it's pretty much all gone. We had actually snowed again yesterday, just enough to kind of put a dusting on the grass. It didn't even accumulate on the roads or anything. So really not a big deal. Jacob says TOF is Thieving Otter Farms. Okay, got it. Hey, there's Warchild. Good to see you. Thanks for joining tonight. Rebel says, good evening, everyone from Virginia. Hope all is well. Well, all is well here. Hopefully it is for you too. Don says, I had over 9 inches of snow and then got ice the next day. 3 more inches of snow, and it has been in the teens since. Oh man, that's that doesn't sound like fun at all. I like I said, I don't mind the snow. I don't like the ice. I got out on Friday because I didn't have to work. So I got out and shoveled the driveway and the sidewalk and did my neighbor's driveway as well because she's elderly. She doesn't need to be, I don't know if she was getting out at all, but she doesn't need to be out there on it. And it was just snow, so it really wasn't that bad. It wasn't ice. 340 Quail Farms here says, hey, Chris, late to the party. Hey, better late than never, right? And that's okay. We don't take attendance here, so you're perfectly fine to join whenever you want to. Steve says dispatched a possum in the coop the next night. It could have been a possum, I suppose, getting into your quail hutch. That could, I guess they could chew through wire. Oh, pardon me. Oh, yawning already. But I don't know. I mean, I've never seen a possum do that. They've seemed to be more scavengers than predators, so who knows? Poodle says, would LED rope light work in a quail pen in the winter to keep them laying? If that's what you're asking, was that enough light? Probably so. I mean, it kind of depends a little bit on how much light it's putting off. But quail need about 14 hours a day of light in order to continue laying throughout the winter. And it doesn't have to be super bright light. So if you can read by it, it's probably going to be bright enough. So yeah, more than likely that LED rope light's going to work just fine for you. Verna says, yes, it will. I say more than likely, yes. Let's see. Dawn says to Poodle, that's what I used with all my cages. Low or bright white enough that they could read at eye level. I had a drill bit cover. I held a drill bit cover on the floor of the cage and I could read it. Tiny print. There you go. So yeah, that works for you. I'm sure that it would work for Poodle as well. I don't see why not. I use some solar lights. They're in my Amazon shop. If you go into any of my video descriptions, there's a link to my Amazon shop there. I've got that solar light out there. It's a pretty good solar light, actually. It works really well. It's a dusk to dawn. It comes on automatically when the sun goes down. And my birds are still laying. They never stopped. Usually, hang on, let me grab a drink. I usually get a drop in production, if not complete stop, like towards the end of December to about the middle of January, somewhere right around in there during the shortest days of the year. But this year, they just kept on laying all the way through. So it actually worked pretty well. It's a great light. Verna says, Poodle, just make sure you have it on the timer so that they are not stressed by lights to stay on 24/7. Yeah, that's good advice. Farmer Marshall's here says, hey, Chris. Hello to you too. Thanks for joining. Don said solar doesn't work in Illinois. We get no sun most of the time from spraying the skies. I use wind power instead. Solar sucks here. Oh man, that's terrible. So you're from spraying the skies? Is that what is that? What is that? I don't know what that is. Why? Who's spraying the skies? What's the point of that? Don't get it. Don't know. I'm a little lost. Guidro's Family Farm says, I definitely don't have a drop in production here. We're in prime spring mode. Yeah, being a little further south, you probably are. Cam says, I use incandescent white mini light strings. Well, there you go. That works too, I'm sure. Verna says, Chris, in Ohio in the winter, we rarely have sun. That's unfortunate. We get plenty of sunshine. Actually, I have solar on my house as well in the wintertime because my gas or my heat is gas, so I don't use nearly as much electricity in the wintertime, and that's where I build up all my credits that help me, during the summer whenever I am using more electricity to run the air conditioner. Don says chemtrails, Chris, blocks the sun and makes fake clouds. That many chemtrails, I mean, we get, we have plenty of planes flying over, but and you see the trail, the jet trails off of them and stuff, but it's not enough to block out the sun. I mean, that seems excessive for sure. Jacob says, I think we're referring to chemtrails. Yep, you're right. Don says, I go 3 weeks at a time without a sign of sun at all. Oh, no, that would suck. I don't think I would like that at all. Jacob says, Aaron's starting his seeds this week, and I'm going ice fishing this weekend. So, yeah. Yeah, it's a little early to start seeds here, too. And Guidro's Family Farm says, Jacob, the seeds are started. We'll be planting in the ground in less than a month. Yeah, we still got a little ways. I mean, it's usually when you're talking, I mean, there's some cold season crops you can get in earlier, of course, but when we're talking about like tomatoes and peppers and, summer crops, basically, it's usually like Mother's Day, so mid-May before those go in the ground here. Rebel says, first time incubating celadons from my own birds, 36 in on 12/31, 32 good for lockdown on 1/14, 6 pipping this evening. I'm pretty excited. Well, that is awesome. Congratulations on the 6 that are already pipping. Hopefully you have a whole lot more going. Poodle says, is quail feces similar to chicken, high nitrogen for using in the garden? Yes, it is. It's it's the same basic stuff. So you need to really compost it. I mean, you can throw it on your garden in the fall if you want to and, let it sit over the winter time and it's probably going to be okay. But it's better off if you compost that down a little bit before you use it in your garden. 340 Quail Farm says, question, have you ever tried artificial insemination? Example, a jumbo roux on a standard hen. I figured the natural way might hurt them. I've never tried that at all. Never even thought about trying that. I'm not sure how you would go about doing that with a quail, honestly. If you do it, post a video because I don't know how that would work. But no, I've never tried that. Shoe Family Quail Farm says, hello from Arlington, Texas. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us tonight. Verna says, yes, Poodle, get rabbits. They have cold manure. That's true. Rabbit manure, alpaca, goat, I think. There's a few others like that is a cold manure that you can throw straight on your garden. It's a great fertilizer. Guidro's Family Farm says, Chris, I'm talking tomatoes, peppers, all the spring garden. I'll be done with tomatoes for the season. When you start, we have the same type of hot summers, but I get a head start. Yeah, we do have pretty hot summers here too. I mean, it's not uncommon for it to be 100 degrees in the middle of summer, but yeah, we've got those late frosts. There's just no way I could get them started any earlier. Jacob says, I wish I had a longer growing season, but I don't like the 120 degrees, so I'll deal with the air hurting my face. Yeah, there's a trade-off, isn't there? We don't get 120 usually. I mean, occasionally, but not very often. When I say we get to 100 degrees, usually not for an extended period of time. And I mean, it's rare that we get over 100 actually for very long. Some years we'll have like, a week or two at a time that's over 100, but, still it doesn't really matter. Honestly, when you get above like 90 degrees with high humidity, it's about the same. 90, 100, it's all about the same. And Guidro says, Tim, they can breed naturally. Oh, yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Thank you for following up on that. Yeah, I've never artificially inseminated, but yes, you could breed a jumbo to a standard if you wanted to, and it would work just fine. I'm not sure why you would want to, though, because, I mean, you're just going to end up with smaller birds in the end. I mean, it's not, you probably won't be, chances are you won't be breeding. I mean, just breed the jumbos to the jumbos. Keep the jumbo. That's my thought. But yeah, do what you want to do. Boris says hello. Hello to you too. Good to see you. Poodle says, I don't want too many critters to feed, LOL. Hey, I understand completely. Start small and work your way up if you want to, huh? Verna says, Chris, I wish you could join me on Saturday morning. Yeah, I always forget. I'm sorry. And Saturdays, like this Saturday, I got to go take my truck in, get it some fixed. I've got cracks in the crossbars underneath there. They got to be fixed. So that's what I got to do this Saturday morning. Annie from Southern California, good to see you. Let's see. Jacob says, I also don't have mosquitoes for like 6 months, so that's nice. Well, it is nice. You're right. Our mosquitoes here aren't terrible. I mean, they're bad some years and not as bad other years, but nothing like what you see down in the South. Let's see. Buster says, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Don says, when I start back up, I'll be going small with quail and rabbits. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. That's pretty much what I raise. We usually do a spring run of meat chickens. I don't know if we will this year or not. We'll see. Guidro's Family Farm says, Jacob, we have mosquitoes for 11 months and 20 days a year. Jake, Verna wants to know where you are, Jacob, that you don't have to deal with mosquitoes for 6 months. So, yeah, of course, there's no mosquitoes right now. It's way too cold. And that usually is from like November through March, somewhere around in there. So close to 6 months, I guess. Pretty close. We do have other pests that we deal with too. Jacob's in northeastern Wisconsin. Yeah, that would make sense why you don't have big problems with mosquitoes up there. But we do have other things too. We have ticks, we have chiggers. Those are probably the worst, honestly. They're worse than the mosquitoes. And Verna says, burr, small growing season. Yeah, for sure. We have a decent growing season. I can go from like May to late October, roughly. So, and again, I could plant a little bit earlier than that. Some of the cold season crops, lettuces and, cilantro and herbs and stuff like that does fine there. But pretty much, all the, summer stuff, the tomatoes, the squash, the peppers, all that kind of stuff, that's May through late October. And Poodle wants to know, have you lost any quail to cold weather? No, not really. They're pretty cold hardy. If you have a wind block for them, a way for them to get out of the wind, they do just fine. It doesn't really matter. I mean, we've gotten down well below zero, and I haven't lost any. They're fine. I mean, every once in a while I lose a bird, whether it be winter or summer, for whatever reason. You just don't know. But no, I haven't had any real issues with the cold. Don says, same here, Chris. Talking about the growing season. Verna says, I have planted right after Easter. I'm in zone 6B. I think we're in 6B as well. I think. But usually it's a little too early. Let me see my maybe 6A. I can't remember. Well, this says 7A. That doesn't seem right. No, 6B. There we go. Yeah, Joplin is in zone 6B. There are parts of Missouri that are 7A, but Joplin is in zone 6B. Let's see. So you're in 6B as well, huh? Yeah, look at that. Strange. Kind of surprised by that, but yeah. Jacob says, my quail are in a heated shed. I keep it like 40 degrees. It does make it easier. You don't have to worry about eggs freezing. You can keep the water from freezing, those kinds of things. That makes it a lot easier. Mine stay outside, though. I don't have a heated shed. I do use a heated waterer in the wintertime just to keep the water from freezing, but that's it. Um, Verna says you put your cold weather plants in 6B right after Easter. Yeah, well, you're right. Yeah, for cold season crops, yeah, you can do that. But like the last couple of years, we've been getting pretty hard. I mean, freezes, not just frost, but freezes past Easter. So I always wait a little bit later. And Farmer Marshall says I garden year round, Zone 8A, starting seeds this weekend. Yeah, I'm kind of jealous. Year round would be nice, but at the same time, I kind of like having wintertime. Makes me appreciate the summer a little bit more. It's one of the things I like about living where I live is we get all 4 seasons. We get a spring, we get summer, we get fall, we get winter. Spring doesn't usually last very long, honestly. It's usually like wintertime, a couple of weeks of spring, and then summer, but still, we do get all 4 seasons. Jacob says, I keep it heated for the automatic waterers. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's the convenience of heating it for sure. Don says, I won't plant until Mother's Day no matter what. I've been caught before. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. And last year was a little bit later because it was still cold on Mother's Day. Lazy Homestead says, one shouldn't use Easter as a firm date for gardening. Easter varies by weeks over the years. Well, that's true. But I mean, it's a good kind of, basic idea of how to do it. Mine's pretty much Mother's Day. That's when I put most of my stuff out. And Verna says that's for warm weather crops. Yeah, that's true. But again, my point, I mean, we've had freezes come well after Easter, and cold season crops, they can handle a frost okay, but they don't necessarily do well in a hard freeze. Dawn says, I can have frost until Mother's Day. Yeah, we can. I mean, it happens here too. Farmer Marshall says, I grew up in Chicago and I've had enough winters for a lifetime. Yeah, I don't blame you. That's one thing I do like about, like I said, the winters that we have here is that it's not that cold. I mean, we've been in the 20s for about a week and a half, but it was like 40s and 50s before that. And we're back up to 50 today. And we got cold weather coming next week. We'll be in the 20s again for another week probably, but then we'll be back up in the 40s. So it's not too bad. Let's see. Verna says, well, lazy. I often use my baby brother's birthday, April 20th. And Dawn says, I agree. I'm not sure I've forgotten what I said that you agree with, but good, I guess. And Verna says, you can always make a cold frame in case of freezes. Yeah, you could. Cold frames work pretty well for frost protection, but hard freeze, I mean, it's kind of works, I guess. Now, one thing I will say, I mean, there's a lot of things that we'll handle. We've got dill growing outside right now. It just kind of came up, from where we had it planted in this last year. And it made it through, I mean, all the way up until we got the snow, I think. It was still alive. Let's see. Keone says the government changed the zones last year and the new zones are all wrong. Do not include anomalies that are typical in the various zones. They use averages. I didn't know if they changed. I think I've been in 6B and it hasn't changed, but I don't know. Jacob says, Chris, have you ever made maple sugar? I did the other day and it's amazing. I won't be using white sugar for anything anymore. I mainly made it for a salmon rub, but this stuff is great. No, I've never made maple sugar. I don't think we get cold enough here to do that. Don't you need pretty cold weather to be able to tap maples to get I don't know, honestly. I have a maple tree in my front yard, but I don't know the first thing about tapping trees. It's just not something that goes on here. Poodle says the problems I have in was that Northeast Missouri will jump from spring to summer and some of the garden wants to bolt. Yeah, I know. Yeah, same thing here. If you're in Northeast Missouri, you're probably not much different. I'm in Southwest Missouri, so slightly different, but not a whole lot. But yeah, that's what it seems like. As it's like wintertime and then like a couple of weeks of spring and then we're into summer, and yeah, a lot of things want to bolt. Don says, I have cold frames. I have a cold frame, doesn't do well with hard freezes. Not worth my time starting things unless I wait until Mother's Day. Yep, I understand. And Dawn says it's easy, no worries, just one planting. Yep, I get it. And Poodle says my zone definitely changed from 6A to 5B. Interesting. Jacob says, yeah, you need freezing at night and above freezing during the day, but you can use any pure maple syrup to make it. Oh, really? Okay, so you can use maple syrup to make maple sugar, huh? No, I have never done that. I don't know really the first thing about it, honestly. And Verna's saying her zone didn't change. Mine didn't either. Same. I was kind of surprised to see that Ohio, your area of Ohio, is in the same planting zone as I am. Seems as quite a bit further north, but who knows? See, Farmer Marshall says, yeah, they've changed some zones, but they weren't major changes. My 7B became 8A. I didn't even know that any zones changed. That's interesting. All right. Sorry, clicking on a few things there. So, and again, we're kind of slowing down on the chat here. It's kind of a slow night for chat tonight. And I don't ever have anything planned out whenever the chat dies down. I should. I always say that. Poodle says, I think that I will probably do some winter sowing in milk jugs next month. Yeah, I've done that before and it's worked out well for me. And then I've tried sometimes and it hasn't worked. But and when I did it, I plant them straight in the ground, just cut a hole in the milk jug, put the milk jug over the top of them. That way I don't have to transplant them out. They just grow. And when I did that, it was great. I mean, it worked really, really well. But then I tried again another year and it didn't work at all. And I think it probably had something to do with the amount of moisture in the air, like how much rain we got and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't do a good job of watering them. So who knows? Don says, AI says for me with in planting zone 6B, which was average annual minimum temperature ranging from -5 to 0 Fahrenheit, and then the Celsius, -20.6 Celsius to -17.8 Celsius. Huh. Yeah, that I mean, that doesn't sound right at all to me because I'm in 6B and our average annual minimum is definitely not -5 to 0. Our average, I mean, we get that cold sometimes, -5 to 0, but that's not our average. Don says, this zone is suitable for a variety of plants that can tolerate colder winters. The warmer winters compared to zones 5A and 5B make it easier to grow a wider range of plants. It doesn't seem to check out with what I mean, I grow all kinds of things, and I've never had too many problems with most of it. Except for blight with the tomatoes the last couple of years has been an issue. I haven't been able to get it under control. Andy says, anyone have suggestions for rabbits in Southern California where hot and dry rarely freeze? I mean, there are a couple of breeds like Tamucks are bred specifically to be heat tolerant rabbits. So you might look into that, but whatever you do, I would get from a local breeder, somebody that's been breeding for a while, because those, no matter what breed they are, they're going to be more acclimated to your climate and to the heat and the arid conditions that you're in. So I other than Tamucks, I don't know of one that's specifically heat tolerant more so, but again, get it from a local breeder and don't really worry about the breed too much, because if they've been breeding them for a long time, they're going to be acclimated to that. Now, I will say, keep them in the shade. Don't let them get, direct sunlight on them like half the day or anything like that, because that will definitely make a difference. Keone says, Keone, I think it is, says, they changed mine in Middle Tennessee from 6B to 7A. If you plant zone 7 here, they will die, as we've had very hard freezes, sub-zero every year. Yeah, well, I mean, we get below zero here too, pretty frequent. I mean, pretty much every year, at least for a little while. But I'm not growing anything in the wintertime, so I'm not too worried about that. It's not, I mean, I guess some of your perennial stuff, if you're growing perennial vegetables, there are some things that would be affected by that, but I don't do a whole lot of that. I mean, aside from like asparagus, there's not a whole lot of perennial stuff that I grow. Most of it's annual stuff. Verna says, Andy, make sure that they are under shade and always have fresh water. Yep, for sure. I agree. Dawn says, that makes it sound like I'm in 6B and then 5A and 5B for winter, LOL. Yeah, pretty much. Mike says, I hope everyone is having a good night and staying warm with Big Mike and the family from Pennsylvania, formerly Long Island. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us tonight. Let's see. Andy wants to know what my shirt says. Oh, yeah, this is my Abraham Lincoln giving Ford's Theater a review. Says, awful, would not recommend, 1-star review for Ford's Theater. So it's a, history t-shirt, I guess, Anyway, pretty good one. I like it. Andy says, I meant rabbit types. Yeah, Andy. Well, I think that's kind of how I took it. That's kind of how I tried to answer it. I wouldn't worry too much about what type of rabbit you get necessarily, but look for just a local breeder. Now, if you're looking for meat rabbits, you want to go with meat rabbit breeds, which are going to be like your most common is probably New Zealand white. Tamuks are a type of New Zealand white. They were bred to be heat tolerant, so if you can find those locally, that'd be a good option. But really, any New Zealand white's going to be good. California's is a good one. What else? Silver foxes. There's a ton of different ones. I'd stay away from Flemish Giant. In my opinion, they're not very good meat rabbits. But yeah, check those out and see. Don says, Chris, get some blight-resistant tomatoes. Yeah, I haven't decided if I'm going to do that. I usually grow heirlooms because I like to be able to save the seeds and regrow. And I don't know of an heirloom that's really blight-resistant necessarily. At least not super. You probably have to go with hybrids to get that. But then again, if I'm having bad problems with blight, maybe I should switch over for a little while to blight-resistant tomatoes. Jacob says it's simple to heat the maple syrup to 262, then take it off the heat and beat with a single beater until it looks like it's going to overflow. Then it just turns to sugar. It's crazy to see. Yeah, I can see that. That makes sense. But yeah, I've never done it. Verna says Annie So and Terror was in California. She had California, and I can't remember the other breed. Yeah, that's a good point. I'd forgotten about that. Poodle says, I try to have a variety of fruits, one zone lower and higher for my actual zone. Yeah, I know you can get away with that a lot of the times. I have a peach tree. I have 2 plum trees out there. The plums are not quite old enough. We might get production off of them this year. I don't know. We'll see. The last couple of years, we haven't gotten anything off the peaches because of the late frosts have killed it off. And before that, we did get huge production, and then the squirrels got it all. Every single peach on the tree cleaned off by the squirrels. They're terrible. We have a pawpaw tree as well. We got 1 pawpaw off the tree this year. It was tiny. Squirrels got the rest. Mike says, I'm picking up 2 Nigerian dwarf goats next week for pets and to eat brush and weeds. We also have a litter of puppies coming in a month. Also have 75 eggs in the incubator. Got to keep busy. Sounds like it. I wish I could get a couple of goats. That'd be nice to have, but it just draws too much attention here, and I don't think I can get away with it. Keone says, do you have your rabbit cage floors for protection from the cold? Isn't necessary. No. Again, wind block, when it gets really cold and the wind's really blowing, I pull the tarps down in front of the cage. Is what I do. But I don't do anything special for the flooring. If you are going to put some kind of bedding or some kind of special something in there to kind of block wind from the floor, you're going to end up with tons of waste, their urine, their manure, all that just building up inside the cage. You're going to have to clean it incredibly often. It's just, they have big fur coats on. They can handle the cold really, really well. So I just don't worry about it. Desert Homestead says, tell a funny story about your first time getting rabbits and or quail. I don't know of any funny stories about that right offhand. That's what I should do, though, right? Funny story about your first time getting rabbits and or quail. Yeah, I don't know any. I don't have any good funny stories about that necessarily. If I thought hard enough, I'd probably come up with one, but I don't have one right off the top of my head. Verna says to County, is it count? Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Says no hay in cages if they have wire bottoms. Mike says, yeah, goat manure is great. I let them free range around the property in the grass loves it. The downside, one of my dogs loves eating goat droppings. Yeah, dogs are funny that way. My dog would love it too. Andy says 1 star for Ford's Theater, LOL. Yep. Andy Rabbits here says, if I add hay to the bottom of the cages, they just get nasty and pee and poop by morning, and then it freezes, and then it seems to stick and rot the wire. Yeah, it's a mess. I wouldn't do it. It's better just to leave it off. They don't need it. They do just fine in the cold. They don't need it. George says, it's been 17 to 19 degrees Celsius all week. Smack bang in the middle of summer should be 35 degrees Celsius. Must be all that global boiling I've been hearing so much about. Yeah, indeed. It's our last couple summers haven't been as hot as normal either. So I don't know where all the heat is, because it kept saying it's the hottest one, but it's been fairly cold this winter, and it hasn't been nearly as hot in the summer. We did get, winter hit late though. All through deer season, November, we didn't get any frost or anything. It was well into December before we even got a frost. But it does seem to me like the seasons have shifted a little bit. Like it's getting cold later in the year, but it's staying cold later in the year too. So instead of used to be, it was late October, early November to about mid-April, somewhere right around in there. And now it seems more like it's December to early May, So it just shifted a little bit. Andy Rabbit says California do good in the heat. New Zealand's do too. But like Chris said, any breed someone in your area has will do good. Yeah, more than likely. If you just find a local breeder that's been breeding for a while, that you're probably going to be just fine. Don says, Chris, I used my Brave browser, and searched heirloom blight-resistant tomatoes, and they have a huge list. Really? What are some heirloom? I need to search for that as well. Well, that comes up with Burpee, but they're mostly hybrid tomatoes, I believe. Yeah, it says this is kind of the general thing. Some heirloom tomato varieties are resistant to late blight, and some are resistant to early blight. So I'll have to research that a little bit and see. I'm not really familiar with any that are really good at, being blight resistant necessarily, but who knows? And Verna says, George, that's warm for here, LOL. We're at 0 degrees Celsius right now. Yeah, we've been below 0 Celsius for, like I said, a little while, but today was nice. I don't know what is, I don't know what 17 degrees Celsius translates to. Let's take a look here. That's 62 degrees. Yeah, that's not bad. For middle of summer, that's chilly, but that would be nice right now. Poodle says, have you ever ordered tree seedlings for Missouri Conservation? They are really good prices. I don't know that I've ever ordered, but I've gotten some trees from Missouri Conservation Department. We have a fantastic conservation department in Missouri. They're just great to work with. They're super helpful, super friendly. But anyway, that's not your question. I have gotten trees from them. They did a tree giveaway. That's where my pawpaw tree came from, was a tree giveaway. It was after the big tornado came through. There was a big tree giveaway that they did, and I got that. But I've gotten a couple other from them too. And I bought a persimmon tree. We're going to see if it grows. It's planted out there in the back lot, but I don't know if it's going to go or not. It was pretty small. But yeah, I don't know that I've ever ordered directly from them or not, but I've gotten some from them, and they've all done well. George says, what about in summer, Verna? How high does it get to up your way? It feels like winter here. And Poodle says, from Missouri Conservation typo. I think that's what you posted, isn't it? Anyway, I read it right if it wasn't. Don says, I'm at 24 right now. Tomorrow, big warm up to the 40s. I want to go down to the lake to do some PT walking. Physical therapy, I think it is. But I have to go to the eye doctor. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, when it's been cold, it gets to the 40s. It's like, woo! It feels like spring, doesn't it? Mike says, "Are you going to do another run of meat chickens this year?" I don't know, honestly. I don't know. I haven't thought too much about it. We haven't finished off the ones from last year still, but that's no reason not to get new ones. So I don't know. We're going to find out. George says 32 degrees Celsius is nice. We haven't even had any 40 degrees Celsius for the past 3 to 4 years. Normally we get a week at that temp, and that is too hot. What's 40 degrees? Let's see, what's 40 degrees Celsius? That's 104. Yeah, that's about what we get here in the summertime too. Not usually 104. Usually we're more like in the 90-degree range. So let's see, if we were going to 90 degrees, that'd be like 32 degrees in Celsius. And Verna says, to battle blight, you trim off the lower leaves. Yeah, I know, but it doesn't work always. We've done that, but it doesn't always work. Andy says, I'm at 38 right now, was up to 55 today. Yeah, it was a beautiful day today. Verna says it got up to 32 Fahrenheit there. Don says, my search had a list of normal, like Cherokee Purple, etc. Yeah, I've tried Cherokee Purple before. I don't really like them. They're just not a very good tomato, in my opinion. But I don't know. Maybe I'll just go with some hybrids. I mean, there are some hybrids that taste pretty good. There's no reason not to grow them if you want to. Mike says, in the mountains of western PA, it feels like it has snowed every day since Thanksgiving. Yeah, we haven't had that much snow. We got our first one, like I said, last week. It was a pretty decent one, 5 inches. Pretty good snow for here. We don't get that much usually at one time. But that's it. Just the one snow. It snowed again yesterday, but it was just light. It was just kind of a dusting. Nothing on the roads or anything. Desert Homestead says 75 in daytime, 35 at night. 75 during the day would be nice, but let's see. Dawn says, Taverne, Tavay's place, Taverna. It's been cold, and I work out an hour twice a day now. It has raised my metabolism to where in the 30s I sweat like it's hot. LOL. Yeah. It's I've got a bunch of chainsaw work I need to do, and I'd honestly rather be doing it in 30-degree weather than 80-degree weather. It's amazing. You do a little bit of work, and 30 is not so bad. Yeah, 116 in your apartment. That's terribly hot. George says, I hatched out 25 quail eggs this week. That's a big hatch for us. Normally 15 is manageable. Aiming to get 100 in the freezer for the upcoming winter. Well, that's a pretty good start to it, I guess. I think George is in Australia, Verna. Yeah, there he says in Australia. Don says, that was just one name I remembered. I don't care for Cherokee Purple either. That was a nice list. I was surprised. It was gathered up by Brave AI right on top. Interesting. Yeah, I did an heirloom search. Let's see, there's a few of them. Yeah, I see a lot of these too, though, are... See, I just want a good beefsteak to make it. Arkansas Traveler, there's one. And that originated pretty close to me, so maybe I'll try that one. I don't know. I haven't actually tried that one before. Poodle says, we're in a drought. We definitely need some spring rains. Yeah, we've been in a drought for a while, but we've gotten quite a bit of rain, and I don't think we're in a drought anymore here. If we are, it's a mild drought. It's not like it was. Casey says, I got a new doe who has proven she's due the 22nd, but already hay stashing, so I gave her the nest box. She pulled a ton of hair. Should I be concerned with how early it is? No, I wouldn't worry about that. New doe, you said she's proven, which is odd because usually that kind of behavior is something you see with like new first-time moms or something like that. But just because she pulled fur a little bit early, I don't think that's a big concern. As just watch her. She's probably going to be fine. I wouldn't worry about it too much. If you want to, you can collect up a bunch of that fur just in case when she has her babies. If she doesn't pull enough, you'll have some extra that you can throw in there. But I wouldn't worry about it. George says it's 12:47 p.m. at the moment. My lunch break. Nice. Yeah, it's 7:49. Well, 7:47, I guess there p.m. here, so it's much later. Berna says, yeah, don't worry about it early. She starts stashing. She is red. Yeah, don't worry about it. Basically, same thing I said. Don says, Arkansas Traveler, I have grown here for over 10 years every year. It's great. I'm going to have to try them. I've never tried Arkansas Traveler. I like Mortgage Lifter Red for my slicers, and I like the Amish paste for my paste tomatoes. But sorry, just checking something here real quick. But I've never tried an Arkansas Traveler. I may try that one. Poodle says Arkansas Traveler requires a lot of pruning. It vines like crazy. That's not bad, is it? Andy Rabbit says Arkansas Traveler grows good for me every year. I have planted it. Every time was in a 5-gallon bucket. Really? I've never had success getting tomatoes to grow in a 5-gallon bucket. Or any container for that matter. And big tomatoes, small, like cherry tomatoes and stuff like that, it's pretty easy. But I'm talking like slicers, Bev says, thanks, Faye. Happy to have at least catch the end of the chat. Oh, I missed it, didn't I? It said just dropped in to see what's going on. I missed it. Well, welcome. Thanks for joining us. You got a few minutes left. We got like 10 minutes. It's not the end yet. It's close. Mike says there's a very good type of romaine lettuce called Paris Island. Very heat resistant compared to other lettuces. I've grown Paris Island before, and it is pretty good. And my wife likes romaine better than any other kind. So we do grow that pretty regularly. It's a good one. I agree. Don says, I grow Amish paste for my paste every year, LOL. Yep, I like the Amish paste quite a bit. They're a good one. Verna says, I had good slicers out of a big container. Yeah, I've never seen... Don says, Mortgage Lifter, I think, was on that list I searched for you, Chris. Well, I can tell you they're not very blight resistant because they've been... blight has just demolished my tomatoes the last couple of years. And Mortgage Lifter Reds, they're not, they have not resisted the blight. Let's put it that way. We did all the stuff you're supposed to do, the aspirin, the trimming the bottom leaves off, the bottom limbs. As soon as, blight looked like it was taking effect, take that off, all that stuff. Didn't matter. It just destroyed them. Bev Smith says, I'll try the only 2 days in the work week to get stuff done. I'm usually straight into doing chores on Saturday morning. Hey, I get it. Weekends are catching up on things you can't get done during the week, right? And Teresa is here. Teresa Wiggins says, I'm coming in late as well. It's all good. We're just glad you're here. Keone says, all of my does wait until the day of birth to build the nest and pull fur. Drives me crazy as I never know if they're going to have kits until they arrive. Yeah, that's pretty much what my rabbits do too. It's pretty normal. George says, if you like melons, try pepino melon seeds. They're very hardy and palm-sized melon. You can harvest all year round here, probably 9 months of the year when temp drops below 38 Fahrenheit, and they don't die. Interesting. I've never heard of pepino. I'm not huge on melons, but I kind of like them every once in a while. Let's see. Where's that? It's an interesting looking melon. I'm going to have to try it. Yeah, may have to give that one a try too. We'll see. Schiefenstein says, so 2 pins to a local farmer who's starting their quail journey. He immediately knew the design of the cage. I'm not sure what you mean by that exactly. Are you talking about like you designed my cage and he knew who it was or something? That's kind of interesting. I don't know if that's what you meant or not. Verna says, Mortgage Lifter is a great slicer. I agree. I like them quite a bit. They got a great story behind them too. Homestead Matters says, well past fashionably late, but hope everyone is having a lovely day. So far I am. Hopefully you are too. Andy Rabbit says, Arkansas Traveler was a smaller tomato than a Mortgage Lifter, but puts off a lot. It's about the only one I've got to grow good in a 5-gallon bucket made into a self-waterer. Interesting. Don says, Paris Island bolts on me, so I grow Jericho for romaine after spring. It's made for heat. Jacob says, tomorrow morning is the last of my jumbo wilds are going to the freezer camp. Oh, the last of them are going to the freezer camp that made me mad for the last time. I will be starting over with jumbos. Huh? Starting, okay. So I'm guessing you had some. I'm guessing you had some issues with aggression or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, starting over is not necessarily a bad idea. Hopefully, you have better luck with them. I've had really good luck with jumbo pharaohs, jumbo meat makers, whatever you want to call them, or jumbo wilds. It's all pretty much the same. I've had really good luck with them and very little aggression issues. Teresa says, "Let's see, I finally finished my aviary. Awesome." Mike says, how deep does the soil have to be in a raised garden bed? Well, it depends on what you're growing there. But, you know, and it depends on if the raised garden bed is completely solid on the bottom or if it has access to the ground underneath as well. Tomatoes need, they root pretty deep. So you're going to need, I would say, at least probably 2.5 to 3 feet worth of soil. That's not 3 feet, but that's, you know, probably about 2 feet. Of soil if you're looking at tomatoes. Other things, though, like peppers, you know, all your lettuces and all that. I mean, if you're just growing carrots, you only need just enough for the carrots to grow. I mean, that's it. But most other things, radish and all that kind of stuff is all just, you don't need much at all. Bev says, it's prime time gardening here in Florida, and some fungus keeps killing my squash and cucumbers. Only thing doing well out there is the kale and tomatoes. Ooh, kale. I don't like kale at all. But fungus killing your squash. The problem I have with squash right now is squash bugs. I mean, they were terrible. We stopped growing squash for a couple of years. Helped a little bit, but they're still squash bugs and vine borers. Those two things right there just kill my squash. Usually I get enough out of it before they do that, you know, it's not a big deal. But yeah, it's a lot. Andy Rabbit says, Arkansas Traveler, one warmer year was giving me tomatoes past New Year's. I remember saying January 1st, and I'm picking tomatoes. Interesting. Bev says, I'm apparently way better at growing quail than my garden. Yeah, I think we all are too. Quail are easier in a lot of ways. I mean, gardening's not that difficult necessarily, but there are some. Got to get it watered. You know, that's the big thing. Don says to George, how long are those melon vines? Just an estimate. I want to see if I can grow them in hydroponics. Well, you can grow melons vertically. I mean, of course, you probably thought of that, but that's still, you know, like when I grow cantaloupe or anything like that, I always grow it vertically. I always grow it up a cage and trellis it. Teresa says it's about 42 square feet for my 24 button quail. Talking about your aviary. Sounds like a nice one. Chiefenstein says, yes, sir, I highly recommend you. Well, thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Jacob says about your quail, right? They keep fighting and causing pretty bad damage to each other, and I'm tired of separating them and then trying to reintroduce, and I don't want to breed that bad temperament. Yeah, I understand that. I never, if I do have aggression problems, I don't separate birds out because it's just, to your point, trying to reintroduce them is such a huge pain. But yeah, starting over may not be a bad idea for you. Andy says the worst tomato I grew was romaine tomatoes, one of my favorite tomatoes. Yeah, try Amish paste. I've had good luck with Amish paste, and they're a paste tomato like aroma. Let's see. So let's see. George is saying it depends on how you prune them. We cut ours when they're 2 to 3 feet long, and they bush out. They grow probably 6 to 8 feet. Teresa says, no kale for me, but I like spinach a lot. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I don't like kale at all. Don't understand why kale is all of a sudden something people want to eat. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's like hairy spinach, right? I mean, why would you want that? Homestead Matters says, has anyone tried the horizontal planting for tomato? Curious about personal experience. I think I've seen something on that, but you're talking about like where you bury the plant this way with just a piece sticking up. I have not tried it necessarily, but I've seen people do it. Verna says, Chris, you need to do some companion planting for pest control. Yeah, I probably do. I don't know what companion plants to plant to keep squash bugs away, though, but I'll have to look into that. Yeah, it's about time to wrap this one up. We just got a minute left. Oh my goodness, there's a bunch of comments I haven't answered. Let's see if I can get through a few of them before time's up. George says, we have so many quail now that 25 will have to fit in a 12 foot by 2 foot until we call them. Already have about 40 in a 36 by 2 foot. So a 12 foot by 2 foot, that's not bad. 25 fitting in that. That's actually pretty decent. Let's see. Let's see. Don says, I had a kale craze and now find out kale is not as healthy as they thought. LOL. Yeah. Yeah, kale, it seems kind of trendy thing to me. I just don't get it. I don't like arugula either. But anyway, Teresa says, my next project is a habit for my 5 disabled button quail with splayed leg. Oh, splayed leg. Oh, I'm sorry you're having that issue. Hopefully they get better. Bev Smith says, quail is so good in the air crisper for a few minutes. Nom, nom, nom. You should look up. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. I'll post this link for you. This is a comedian I think is pretty funny talking about kale chips, not quail. You have to check that one out. He's funny. He also has a really good one on when he broke his collarbone. You should watch that. That's really funny. Let's see. Don says, I did horizontal tomato thing about 12 years ago and it worked. Not doing it now, though, so it didn't work that well, huh? I'm just kidding. Resident Alien says, it can work if you leave it on the ground and you have a pretty well-balanced soil. But if your soil balance is off, you get issues from your tomato. Although the advantage of it is that you get a lot of root structure from growing horizontally with tomatoes. Yeah, that makes sense. Don says, I love arugula. Addicted. It reminds me of radishes. I like radishes quite a bit, but and Teresa says, why are you talking gardening? It's snowing. It's time to start planning, though. All right, guys, I got to wrap this one up. Thank you for joining me tonight. Should be back next week. Don't see any reason why I won't be. And we'll see you guys then. And until then, as always, God bless. We'll see you guys. Take care.